Waiting for it to load. Hi everyone who is watching the recording. I am just sharing to my groups now. Wow. Suddenly the light changed in here and I didn't do anything. Welcome. Hi everyone, it's Therese. And welcome to 2020's first Mercury Retrograde. It is officially here. It's been here now, I'm looking at the time, 3 days? 3 days? Hey Terry, good to see you. Yeah, too long. It's already too long and it's just started. So expect your tech to stop working. Mine's already, like day one, tech stopped working. My phone freaked out. It's like all the computer freaked out. Everything's glitchy and weird. And that happens to me every Mercury retrograde. How about you? Give me a thumbs up if you have tech issues, like consistently every Mercury retrograde. So let me talk about this in case you're new or if you want a refresher on how Mercury retrograde works. So a retrograde is in reference to how the planet's spinning, like visually. The planet actually doesn't change its spin, but from our ability to observe it, the planet looks like it's spinning backwards. And what this refers to in astrology or energy is how the energy is moving. So when the planet is direct, hey Shaman, good to see you. When the planet's direct, it's moving out. It's expressing externally. It's going in from in to out. When a planet's going retrograde, it appears to spin backwards, and therefore the planet, or the energy rather, is going internal. So there's a lot of internalized energy. And when it comes to Mercury, and Mercury, by the way, goes retrograde about 3 times a year, and when it does, what's happening is Mercury is the planet that rules expression and communication, and it also rules over business. And so when it's going retrograde, it's like everything internalizes. And so what we experience in the outside world is a type of breakdown, if you will, right? Like communication seems to break down. Technology, which is a tool of communication, seems to break down. It doesn't actually break down, but what happens is because everybody, the energy that Mercury rules in our lives, we internalize a lot of things. The conversations aren't as clear as they could be. It's almost as if we're thinking partially in our head and only speaking part of what we mean. Does that make sense? God, I hope so, because I'm trying to communicate on technology in a Mercury retrograde. Right. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about is, first of all, I wanted to find out, so there's nothing to fear. My approach to any kind of negative planetary influence is there's nothing to fear about this. It's really asking us to be conscious in our approach. So some astrologers won't even do business during a Mercury retrograde because business, like signing a new contract or entering into a new business during this time, feels iffy, only because the energy is not as stable as it could be. How I feel about it is it's a time to be really conscious and concise, where maybe you wouldn't double check or triple check what you're doing. Now is a time to do that, only because the energy is not as stable as it could be. And so what happens is we think we're doing something or we think we're communicating effectively, but half of the conversation or half of the thought or half of the action might be internalized or unobserved. I'm trying to think of other words I can use to help describe that. So yeah, how many people feel that effect of Mercury retrograde? And let's look at it. Let's look at where the retrograde is right now, because it's important to look at what sign Mercury is in when it's retrograding. And I want to say, yeah, it's in Pisces. And it makes sense because we're about to go into Pisces season. That's coming up here. So this retrograde has a spiritual effect on it. And what I'm feeling and what I wanted to ask you is, are you feeling that? There is a spiritual undercurrent, and it's connected to soul purpose stuff is coming up for people. And my question for you is, are you getting a message on repeat? And specifically, my question for you is that message not quite making sense? Give me a thumbs up if that's happening. So what I'm saying is, maybe you do card readings, maybe you look for synchronicities, maybe people are saying things to you, and it seems to be a similar message over and over. For example, the message I've been getting is let go. Let go of this past. Or what's another one? It's another version of their saying it is, so let go, surrender, let go of the past, let go of anything that's not in alignment. God, there was another way they were saying it where I was like, God, that sounds so scary. Oh, it'll come back. Let's see what people are saying. Absolutely. Okay. Feeling that it's also making you tired. I can totally understand that. Now, what I want to say is, if you're getting a repeat message, oh, you seen your birthday, so a synchronicity. If you seem to be getting a repeat message and it's not making sense to your external world, like what should I let go? What should I change? And you feel like you're doing that work externally, or a time to take action, and it's not aligning, it's time to look at the internal world. Because remember, a retrograde is reflecting, or it's directing your energy internally. And it might be time to look at things differently versus like something concrete, like, should I change my job? Is that what you're saying? Because I feel like I just changed it. And you still get the same message, right? Like, so let's say you get an action message, like surrender to something, and you feel like you've consciously done that. Like, okay, I'm doing the work. I accept what's coming. I let it go. And you do that. And then you still get the same message, let go and surrender. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I feel like I did that. Why do I keep getting this? It's time to look at it from a different angle. They must not be talking about from the angle you're perceiving it at. Okay, so I just want you to know that if you feel like you're almost being bombarded right now, you probably are. There is a major call here to redirect our lives to a more purpose-driven way. Redirect your life in a more purpose-driven way. And you might be doing that. You might already be on that path, and yet something else needs redirection, or something else needs to be more purposefully in alignment. And the truth is, it's right in front of your face. And you'll know what it is by how it makes you feel. You might actually even feel triggered or pissed off that this is right in front of your face and they keep telling you to deal with it. And you might already be dealing with it. It's all around you. So one of the ways we can kind of look at what it is the messages are asking you to focus in on, is what's triggering you in other people. What is triggering you in other people? When you watch someone else doing this and you're like, oh, come on, just do blank. Are you hearing that message kind of resonate back to you? Right? Are you noticing that you can easily dole out the advice that you so are being required to take? Anybody else? Is it just me? Please don't let it just be me. Give me some thumbs up here so I can feel less alone. Oh no, but do you see what I mean? Like it's constantly in your face. It's the thing that, in the Course in Miracles, they talk about the fact that there is nothing out, like it's a reflection. What you're seeing, how you're responding to the world is a reflection of something going on inside of you, right? Inside of you. So whatever triggers you in the outside world is something that needs to be dealt with inside of you. You're not dealing with what it is internally. And this is a time period for the universe. I mean, we are being asked to look at it for 3 weeks. A retrograde lasts 3 weeks, and things do break down. Communication does get harder in this time period if we're not dealing with it, or we're not willing to look at it and address, like confront whatever's coming up inside of us. And it has a spiritual, again, this time with it being in Pisces. Yes, I know. It has a deep spiritual connection. It's not going to leave you. Okay, I guess that's one of the major points that I'm supposed to mention, is that this is not going anywhere. It's going to haunt you like a bad dream until you turn around and go, okay, I'm here. I hear you. It's time to stop playing this way. It's time to change it up. Hey, Agnes. Hey, Caitlin. Good to see you. Okay, so let me look at this. I want to look at Shaman's comment. Yes, but I don't want to deal what it wants me to confront. Someone who hurt me deeply. So this is, okay, so one of the texts that I follow spiritually, and it resonates with me. So if that resonates with you, go ahead and share it. Otherwise, just, you can hear this. But I love A Course in Miracles. I followed it as a young adult all through my life. That work resonates with me. And the things that it has to say about how we deal with forgiveness and how we deal with pain in other people, it can be a little confrontational, okay? It can force you to take, not force, that's the wrong word, but it can ask you to really look at it and understand that you are a creator and that what you're experiencing is something that you are partly responsible for. Now, I know as I say that's going to trigger people, and my intention is not to place blame on anyone or to say, look, all the pain you experience, that's your fault. But this is a different way of looking at things so that you can free yourself from a pattern of belief that reinforces an idea of pain. And really what it's saying is, look at the story you're telling yourself. And a powerful way of looking at our lives is that we experience life from two perspectives, but we often forget the most powerful perspective. And I'm going to tell it to you in the form of a story. Okay, so we're a multidimensional being who is experiencing life, and two of the major experiences we have, one of which we live with so much that we start to identify with it as if it is us. And the other one, we almost rarely visit unless in our sleep, or unless we have the Hail Mary moments where it's like, come to Jesus, Hail Mary, right? Like, this is what I have to do. So we experience life as a hero of our story, and then as the writer of the story. So as the hero of the story, this is more of a personality ego identification. Ego in this sense not being a negative word. It's just the ego identifies as a character, as Therese, or as Agnes, or as Caitlin, right? We identify, and this is where we feel separate and different. We are, as this identity, we are going through the world, and the world is affecting us. The external world affects us from this point of view. And we are the hero of a story, and there's a bad guy or other bad guys, right? Or there's obstacles. There's adventure too. There's true love, right? There's amazing events that happen, but we're inside the story as this person. We're going through the terrain, and if we keep identifying with it, we really believe that this external world of story has an effect on us. What's a powerful place to get to, a more spiritually aligned, higher vibrational place, is to remember that you're also the author of this story. You wrote this story and everything in it. So I like to say it's the difference between being Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling, right? From Harry Potter's perspective, somebody's after him, right? They want to destroy him. And he has to go through this epic quest to rectify the storyline. As the writer, though, as the J.K. Rowling, the writer of the story, so Harry might not love Voldemort, right? Like, he might be like, this is my nightmare come to life. However, J.K. Rowling loves every character, including the bad guys. Loves them deeply. Desires them even, because they create the catalyst for growth and change. Without the bad guys there, it's just this really cool kid who doesn't ever have to express any different part of himself because it's all well, right? And it's a kind of boring story. If it's like Harry Potter was born, he's a magical guy, he lives in a magical world, the end, right? That's like great. But then you introduce catalyst. That's what the author does to create the journey of growth and self-discovery. The author creates catalyst. And from the author's perspective, everything is loved. Everything is cherished and appreciated and wonderful. Marlise, nice to meet you. Great to have you here. Right, so think about that. Think about the fact that you're not just the hero of your story. You are the hero, but you're also the author. And guess what, honey? If you don't like the story you wrote, who gets to change that? You do. But the author can only change it when they accept that they've created the world. And that's kind of the basis. That's kind of a dumbed down nutshell version of what A Course in Miracles teaches. It's changing your perspective. It's pulling you out of the idea that you're in a world that's affecting you, like an external world is affecting you, and it's pulling you out and saying, actually, you affect the world. And the world is merely reflecting back to you what you see. And so when you get these messages that are coming in that are asking you to change something, who's giving you those messages? If you're the author of this story, who is introducing these new elements into your life? Who is, what is creating the desire? And what is creating the obstacles for growth? It's you. And when you are thinking about your life from that level, you start to embrace everything that comes your way. Because if this obstacle is here, it must mean that this is a great moment in my life, that I'm testing my mettle, right? I'm testing my mettle. The card of temperance, let me say that again. Temperance, there we go. In the tarot, the major arcana, the card of temperance is about testing your mettle. And you meet temperance right before you meet the devil in the tarot. And the devil really represents fear. And it's the first level of the spiritual. It's the first obstacle of the spiritual level. As soon as you pass fear, you go right into the tower of breaking apart and awakening, and then you become the star and the moon and the sun. And it's like you just keep ascending up this ladder of really intense spiritual growth. So here we are. I want to go back to catalyst and testing your mettle. Why, if we're the author of a story, and then we're also the hero experiencing it, we're taking our hero's journey, right? Why would we introduce problems, which are called catalysts, or bad guys, or anybody else? Why would we introduce that? Because from the author's perspective, from the all-powerful perspective of who you truly are, nothing can hurt you. You're creating it, right? It's like for those of us who played dolls when we were little, you are the one playing with the dolls. You're not the doll. You pretended to be the doll because that's fun. But honestly, from your perspective, you are a much more powerful being who is creating a world, and you want catalysts to test your mettle. And that doesn't mean, can I do it? It's so you can see that you can do it, right? You can do this, and you introduced resistance to feel your own power. That's why we introduce resistance, not to push back and stop us, but to really push through so that we can feel who we are. And by feeling that and by experiencing it and expressing it, we then know something about ourselves on a visceral level, right? We know ourselves on a visceral level that we might not have remembered. And certainly from that beautiful author place where nothing hurts you, there's no way to kind of viscerally know that. I mean, you are it, right? So there's nothing to test. There's nothing to prove. You are. And so we come to this realm where we strip away everything we know about ourselves so that we can rediscover it again. It never went anywhere. You don't have to grow it. You don't have to change. It's more like self-discovery. Like, aha, I knew it. I knew I was amazing, and here's the proof, right? Oh, I love this. So let me look. Yes, temper our spirit. Absolutely. When you start to see life from this perspective, the joy, you can feel the joy filling back up. If there's nothing you have to ultimately change about yourself, it's more like, this is what I'm here to experience about myself. It pre-exists. Before you understand it, it pre-exists. That's why I love to talk about destiny, because people are in love with their destiny and terrified of it. They're in love with the idea that there is something great that they're here to do, and they feel it and they can see the vision of it, and they're terrified they won't get it. They are terrified. Most of it, I am terrified even that I won't get it, even though I know, I tell people you are and you will and you have it already. I also experience that feeling of like, what if I don't get it? What if I'm dreaming and working so hard on something and it doesn't happen? Right? So we all experience this, but we don't dream outside of our destiny. And I think this is connected to the message that's coming up in the karma cards here. You don't dream outside the sphere of your destiny. And what do I mean by that? I mean that no matter how big you take your dream, if you can dream it, it's meant to be a part of your life. It's part of the design of you. And we don't dream outside of the sphere of our destiny. So, to use myself as an example, I dream of sharing my art with the world in a big way. I dream of seeing it in stores. I dream of being able to share it across the world with people who recognize it and want to make it a part of their lives. I dream that way. So, and that's pretty big. It's a pretty ballsy dream of mine, but I dream it and I see it and I want it, right? And I worry I won't get it too. But that's all in the sphere of my destiny. I don't dream about, there's so many things I don't dream about. I don't dream about how to revolutionize the sanitation industry. Okay, I don't dream about it. I don't have any feelings attached to it. Would it be nice if that got revolutionized? Sure, like cool. Someone else will do it. That's my instant thought is, I can't wait for someone else to figure that out because I just don't care. I don't have enough emotion attached to it. I don't have feelings of hope and I don't have feelings of loss. If someone said to me, Therese, you'll never revolutionize the sanitation industry, I'm like, that makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, well. But if someone said to me, Therese, you'll never make it big as an artist, or you'll never have a positive impact on millions of people, a little bit of my heart starts breaking. Then a little fear comes out and I'm like, oh God, what did I not do? Right? So that's how you know if your destiny, if you're in alignment with your destiny, right? If there's emotion attached to it, it can be very positive, it can be very negative, like full of fear. It can be both. You can have the extremes. If it's meant for you, if it's in your ability, right? Those feelings will be there. And if there's no feeling attached to it, no matter how cool it sounds, like, Therese, you'll never be on, the first inhabitable rocket pod to Jupiter or whatever. I'll be like, okay, somebody somewhere would cry if you told that to them. And that's a part of their destiny. Do you see what I mean? So let me know in the comments, or you can give me a thumbs up if you understand what I mean when I say you can't dream outside your destiny. Now, so you can't dream outside your destiny. You can, however, you have total free will to just be like, destiny, I'm out, right? Like, whatever, I don't believe it. I'm not even going to try because I don't think it's connected to me. You absolutely have free will to just blow it off, right? You absolutely have free will to like try it and get too scared of it and just sit at a certain level too. So when I say you can't dream outside of it, I mean that whatever you dream of and you're emotionally attached to, you can achieve. That doesn't mean it doesn't require effort. And I think some people get confused by that, right? They're like, well, you said I could dream as big as I want. Now, where is it? It still requires effort. It still requires it requires you to test your mettle. Your destiny does. It's not something that we didn't want it to be handed to us. If we did, I don't think we would create the catalyst in our life. We just wouldn't. We want to test our mettle. We want to test, think about, it's that we already know what this feels like, right? The difference between a gift that was given to you and a gift that you really worked towards, right? The gift that's given to you, you love it, you appreciate it, and you value it, and it's connected to someone. You're like, oh, they were thinking of me. I love that. But the gift you really work towards, the one where you were like, every month or every week, you were like, I really want that thing, and I'm going to make it happen. I really want that to happen in my life. And you had to put effort towards it. That's the one that's the prized possession, because it represents the energy of you. It represents the energy of passion, desire, and effort in you, right? So when it comes to our destiny, it's like a beautiful gift that we are working our ass to get because we didn't want it handed to us. We wanted to test the mettle. We wanted to feel the fear and resistance. We wanted to feel the doubt and the risk so that we could feel truly the reward. And I think that message, as hard as that might be to hear, is also reassuring, because faith has to be activated when you're going towards your destiny. If you're not feeling afraid of it, there's some level of it that you haven't reached yet. If it's too easy, if it came too quickly, I think that there's more to it for you. So in this Mercury retrograde, we're being asked to look deeply at the spiritual purpose that we're here for. And the messages are coming to say, hey, look at this. You are not allowing something, maybe, or you need to align to this, maybe, or time to let go of something, go deeper, forgive, go after. The messages are coming, and they're coming on, and we've got 3 weeks of heavy messages here. So I'm going to do the karma cards with you because I feel like it talks more about this. And right before I do that, I just wanted to mention that we do have a new moon in Pisces coming up. So here, it's going to be very interesting. We've got the sun will be in Pisces, the moon will be in Pisces, Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and I feel like there's a big message about destiny there. And that's happening on Sunday the 23rd, so this coming Sunday. And I put a link in the, wherever it is on the page, in the title, to the next New Moon Spirit Circle. If you want to join me, you can grab a seat and join us virtually. We do a whole manifestation ritual around this particular cosmic energy. I go over what it's asking from us right now. Like it's telling us where to focus. If we pay attention, we can find the current where the most ease and grace live. And then at the end, we do psychic Q&A live, where you get to ask me any question you want, and I will answer it for you psychically. And the whole thing is recorded except the Q&A, and you get to keep it. So if that sounds like something that you feel like you would benefit from, or you want to hear the messages about, check out the link, or you can message me on Facebook for sure. All right, so let's get into karma cards. And for those who are new to karma cards or haven't done them before, let me tell you how they work. There are 3 decks here, and it's the planets, signs of the zodiac, and houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team for the current message right now, and they said this is intended from today through to the new moon. So the message will change on Sunday. But for now, this is the valid message from them. And I read across the cards. And the top I have red, that's action-related answers. And at the bottom is blue, those are outcome-related. And all you have to do to play is tune in and decide if you need action right now. And you can type in red for action, or outcome, and you would simply type in blue. Now, some people like to use both. You can type in both or purple. It's all good. I just want you to feel into what's most in alignment with you. All right. And thank you for all the comments. I can't wait. I read these after. Sometimes when when there's a lot of information coming, I will go on and read after and respond to anybody. So feel free to ask me questions. If I don't answer it live, I will answer you after the live is over, okay? While you're deciding if you want red for action or blue for outcome or both, let me tell you the flavor of this reading. We have the sun, planet of the sun, in the sign of Pisces. The sun is about to enter Pisces. So this is very like fortuitous and almost like a harbinger of what's to come. In the sixth house, which is a spirit, it has a spiritual connotation, the house, because the sixth house is a service-driven house, as well as, taking care of our own health. So health will be highlighted, as well as how we are here to serve others. So let's look at this while you're deciding red for action, blue for outcome, or both. Okay, so for those who are choosing action, for the sun in the sign of Pisces in the sixth house, your spiritual action at this time is demonstrate your dreams as a full-time job. Demonstrate your dreams as a full-time job. Well, we just got done talking about your dreams, which, destiny. You don't dream outside of your destiny. 2020 has been a year where the cosmos is really pushing us to purpose. You're going to get a lot of messages this year about why you're here. An internal message. You're going to have a lot of internal messages about maybe this is why, maybe this is what I'm here for. Yes. And it's asking you to start acting on those. And this might be an easy one for some people to hear and a little harder for others. Act on your dreams as a full-time job. Does that mean give up what you're doing to support yourself financially? No, but it means you need to start taking action, demonstrative action now towards who or what you feel you're here for. Right? Not everything that's connected to destiny is connected to financial abundance. It's great when they connect, but actually your purpose and money are not necessarily connected. Eventually, when someone goes deeper and commits fully to their purpose, the universe comes in and supports that. There's a way that gets created. But it's not always the way in. And I know that for me, and when I was younger, I thought it was. And so I just want to put that message out there that your destiny, your purpose is not necessarily connected to your career or your financial sustainability. It could be completely separate. But it is asking you to commit to your purpose as if it's a full-time job. It just means you're going to commit to showing up to it every day, right? Mental action at this time, realize your idealization of serving. Now this one's tricky, and this is very much in the vein of the spiritual energy that this Mercury retrograde is under. Question everything that you think you know about something. We often think our analytical mind wants to shut that shit down and be done. It wants to say, I know what service is, put that in the service box, put a piece of tape on it, it's done. I figured it out, moving forward. Because the analytical mind just wants to keep assessing. That's what it does. But the other part of you, the esoteric mind, the greater mind, your subconscious mind is open and it's fluid, and so is information. And so it asks you to question what you think you know. And this isn't a practice where you have to throw everything out and be like, I know nothing and therefore nothing is, and it's all chaos. It's simply like, what do I think that is? Do I agree with that still? Yeah, okay, great. That's how I'm going to approach service. What do I think service is? Oh, that is such an outdated version of what I believe, or that's no longer in alignment with what I believe. How would I do it now? Because that last version brings me lots of guilt and I feel like I'm failing at serving. So maybe I need to relook at how I perceive it, right? Question everything. Keep an open mind. Allow the new information to come forward. Physical action at this time. Act like a leader. Be a part of something overwhelming and do it a little at a time. Okay. Act like a leader. Be part of something overwhelming and do it a little at a time. Your destiny is being part of something overwhelming, right? Your destiny The word destiny does not feel like a small word to me. How about you? When I picture destiny, I don't picture like a quaint little flower that I pluck and sniff. It feels like a rock face that I have to scale, that I might never find the top of. It feels like a mountain, right? That's overwhelming. That's that feeling. Do it a little at a time. So it asks you to show up to your destiny, show up to what it is you feel like you're called here to do, but you don't have to do like great leaps and strides, right? You don't have to throw over everything you know and start some crazy journey. It's baby steps. It's a little handhold on the cliff, right? And you're like, reach for that one. Hold on for a second. Breathe. Grab the next piece. Act like a leader simply means that you're not here necessarily to follow somebody else's lead. You're not here to follow someone else's lead. Your destiny is designed for you. And though there may be someone who inspires you because they're following theirs, do not mistake it for yours. You might be inspired by someone who's following theirs, and because it might feel very similar, and yet your destiny is unique to you. It's like a blueprint that you created. And so therefore, follow that person, like use their inspiration as far as it takes you. And when you find something that's not in alignment, don't feel bad. Don't feel like, oh my God, they did that and I can't or I won't. That's because it's not a part of your blueprint. So leaders forge a path, they don't follow. And forging is some scary shit sometimes because there is no path there. Imagine a forest, right? Where you're walking on a path and then you see bushes. Forging means you go through the bushes, you chop them down and you go and you look behind them, you keep walking that way. So understand that destiny is highly individualized. The reason nobody can give you your map is because you hold your map, because you wrote the map. That information can be very freeing, and it can also feel a little unnerving because it's like, oh, no one's going to hold my hand. Yes, there is. It's a higher version of you, right? It is the team and spirit around you. You have support with you constantly. But again, the energy is being directed internally. So the answer is not outside, it's within. And the support is within as well. That doesn't mean you won't find external support. But when it comes to destiny, people can only help you so much, right? They can only help you with the part they see. And a lot of your destiny is still internal, meaning it's not materialized outside yet. And so people can only help you with what they can see. And they can hold a vision and they can believe in your vision. And that's when exterior support can be very valuable. But at some point, you do have to forge the path and walk alone for a little bit. And that's when you need to understand that you're internally always supported. All right, let's look at the answers for those who are looking for outcome or want both. For the Sun in Pisces in the 6th house of health and service, the spiritual outcomes at this time, the creation of spirituality to ultimately experience service to others. Okay, so again, with the Sun here, the Sun is very much the leader, right? The leader of our solar system. So it is forging again. So we want to look at this from our creator self, the author, not the hero. This is not the hero forging, it's the author who creates the path. That's your internal guidance. That's a really good way to look at it. Right? And I think I've talked about with you in past sessions about what the higher self is. And the higher self isn't a singular being in you. It's a multidimensional, multi-being complex. It's a social memory complex, meaning it's a conglomeration of every you that's ever existed from the past to this present and the future. It's you who has expressed everything all the way up to the point of going back into pure source energy and letting go of any identification. It's that version of you, which means it's a multi-being. And that's your author. And that's what's guiding you. And that is you, right? So you have a shit ton of support within you around you, surrounding you, who knows you intimately in a way that I think that when you tap into that, it's overwhelming. It really is to feel that energy. So the creation of spirituality to ultimately experience service to others. Again, this isn't something that can be, this type of spirituality that we're meant to understand isn't something that's handed to us. So even beautiful texts like A Course in Miracles or any other text that taps on something that you know inside of yourself, it's still external. It's still not your expression. There is another expression coming forward. And I think we're just starting to understand this personally. It's kind of it's new terrain that we're in right now. But this new spirituality coming through is one where you're really honoring that within. And this is a time period where we're being asked to let go of all false connection, anything that's not in alignment with the you that's within. It doesn't mean that there aren't pieces that align. It's just not everything does. And the most important version to honor is the one that you're feeling inside. It's okay. So here's that Pisces Mercury retrograde happening where it's really hard to express. It's really hard to express ultimate truth. The minute you put words to it, you've lessened it somehow. And the minute that you're trying to express an internal truth you feel, it loses something in the translation. So I hope that my hope is that this message resonates with something inside of you that can answer the question more clearly. I hope. The mental outcome at this time is the gaining of respect from or for trusting your psychic knowledge of what is good for us. Boom. Right? So gaining of respect from or for your own psychic knowledge, what is within, about what is good for us, what is good for you. Right? Your path, the path that you're forging. 1,000 pathways back to source. 1,000 pathways, 1,000,000 limitless pathways back home. There's no one right way. And I think that the time period we're in, we're really starting to deepen that understanding. And we're letting go of anything that tells us the opposite. Anything that tells you that it's the path and there's no other way, be suspicious of. Go, like, is there no other way? Like, question everything again. Physical outcome, things brought to light or life resulting from the indecision of or about your work. So they're saying it's not important that you know, it's important that you question. That it actually, the question brings the answer. You've heard that before. The question brings the answer, just like the asking brings the answer. I was listening to, I think it's Pam Grout has a new book called Experiments in the Course in Miracles, and I was listening to it. And I remember hearing the origin story of A Course in Miracles, but the way she said it was so succinct and clear, I was like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. So A Course in Miracles, Conversations with God, Law of One, Abraham Hicks, all of these people have something in common. What is it? Do you know? Can you guess? What do they all have in common? And if you say channeled, yeah, that's true. But I mean beyond that. They all channeled messages. What do all these spiritual texts have in common? Anybody have a guess? And it's not channeling. I'll give you that one. It's not the channel that it was channeled. They all have something in common. Something really important. Something that's right in front of your face. And you know the answer already because it's the thing that we're asked to do ourselves. It's not channeling. I mean, they are channeled, yes, but it's not the channeling that I'm referring to. The thing that they all have in common is that they all asked, what else is there? Like, what is the answer? If this, they all got to a point, in some point in their journey, where they hit a wall. And they were like, what is this? What else is there? This doesn't make sense anymore. The people who wrote the Course in Miracles texts were students at Columbia, or they were teachers at Columbia in the medical, I think the one of the medical departments, and I can't remember which one. But they both, exactly, they asked, what else is there? Neil Donald Walsh was on his knees and he's like, is this it? Like they hit a wall. And in the case of Abraham Hicks, it was her husband who was asking, I want to know the answers. And she began channeling. Right? So that's what they all have in common. That's what we have in common. That's what we're being asked to do. You don't have to know. So resulting from indecision, right? The more we go into this spiritual complexity of who we are, do you think it gets clearer first, or do you think it gets crazier? I honestly think, right? You're going into the subconscious mind. There is no rule. There's no grid. There's no 5-step system. It's everything. And if everything's happening at once in the quantum field, that looks like chaos. What can come first when you go into yourself is total confusion. And I honestly think that that's a great place to start. Because from the confusion, from the lack of having an answer, comes the asking. And when you ask, you receive. It's so simple. It is profoundly simple. It's so simple that we're suspicious of how simple it is. Right? So simple, exactly. So don't worry about not having the answer. If you're feeling in, or if you're listening to this message and you're like, oh shit, my destiny, what? My purpose, huh? Like, I don't know what it is. I can't put words to it. I say that's a great thing, because it'll cause you to say, why am I here? The classic human question. What is the meaning of this? The asking. That calls forward the inner answer, right? Every single spiritual every profound spiritual process starts with the throwing up of the hands and going, I don't get it. What does this mean? Right? Hey, Deanna, good to see you. Yeah, so anytime that you feel like you're coming up to this point of like, I thought I knew the answer and now I don't, that's kind of like the magic moment right there, because something new is about to crack open. And why it's important that even as we think we know the answers, even as I'm telling you this, I still hold the question of, is it so, right? And I'm staying with what is resonating in my heart, and I'm hoping that I can be someone who's teaching that by example, but also guiding you to that message. Because to just telling you helps reinforce that belief in me that question everything, right? Question what you think you know, to open the mind, and then ask more questions. And as we ask, as we pray, as we reach for something else, that's when knowledge comes in. That's when the wisdom comes in, and it's coming in from that beautiful internal place. So during this Mercury retrograde, as you're dealing with the confusion that comes, maybe allow yourself to feel a little bit of joy and excitement, because that confusion doesn't come without some kind of beautiful understanding behind it, or beautiful sort of what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say resolution, but there's no end, right? There's no real end here, but a new kind of, again, with the confusion, beautiful understanding right behind it. Thank you so much for being with me on this Facebook Live, especially when we're in this retrograde where communicating is just a little bit harder than normal. I hope that you have a beautiful new moon. If you'd love to join me, I would love to have you join us. The energy in our circle is such a beautiful, loving, compassionate group of souls. And we welcome and appreciate anyone who wants to join us. So if that feels like it's right for you, you can check out the link in the post. And until I see you next time, I'm sending you a lot of love. I hope that you get beautiful answers, and don't forget to just ask. Ask what's next. Ask what you're here for, and let those answers come to you. All right. Bye, everyone.